Before we start with today's video, once again, I must promote another election night stream. That is right, folks. This Tuesday, August 9th, at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Wisconsin election night stream will commence. Should be a quick election night stream, but I hope everybody tunes in because fairly interesting race happening in Wisconsin. Again, as usual, the link is in the description down below. Click that link, you get sent to the live stream, and, click that reminder button so the second the live stream starts, you get notified. Alright, folks, let's get right into today's video. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American Politics, back in with a new video, and today, it is finally time that we do another deep dive video, but this time for the Wisconsin Senate race this fall. That is right, folks. Today we'll be discussing the Wisconsin Senate race. Now, obviously this is not as competitive as, say, let's say Pennsylvania. But there's some people really thinking this race is going to be surprisingly close and all this nonsense. And I'm just so sick and tired of it. Plus, with the Wisconsin primary coming up, I think it's a good time to look at the Wisconsin Senate race to really see where each candidate is at, or I should say, well, what the race is going to look like this fall. Excuse my French, and all that good stuff. Now, before I forget, of course, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, and yes, of course, go follow that mysterious Twitter account in the description down below. And, yeah. Also, join the channel today. That is right, folks. For just 10 cents a day, you can join Real American Politics. I think that's a good deal, and I recommend you do so today. Alright. Enough of that crap. Let's get right into the video. So, Wisconsin. Outside of Ohio, this state I consider the most Republican trending state in the country, right? You could say Florida, whatever. You just look at the county map, alright? And this was the Senate race in 2016, alright? Ron Johnson won by a surprising margin by 3.5 points against Russ Feingold, which he beat 6 years earlier. It's kind of a weird situation. But either way, Ron Johnson won by 3.5 points. But you notice where Ron Johnson really ran up the vote. It was in the WOW counties. This is why he won by so much. I mean, look at this. Almost 68% of the vote in Waukesha, 65% in Ozaukee, 72% in Washington, etc. And he did good in places like Fond du Lac, Dodge County, Jefferson, Wellworth, even Kenosha won by a couple points, Racine, etc. So this is where the part of the state that Ron Johnson ran up the vote totals. He absolutely romped it up here. I mean, seriously, these are Bush margins, and he did this in 2016. I mean, it's ridiculous how many votes Ron Johnson truly got out of the WOW counties. And it really does show you that with these Wisconsin voters in the Wisconsin suburbs, the WOW counties, Waukesha, Ozaukee, not so much Washington, it looks like the trends we've seen in those two counties, especially Waukesha and Ozaukee, it appears the trends have been more so they just did not like Trump. I mean, the fact that Ron Johnson was able to do this, it's like that's just ridiculous. That he was able to do this in 2016 is a year that Trump, lost, or I should say, won Waukesha with like 60% of the vote or something like that. It wasn't as good as Ron Johnson, that's for damn sure. So there is evidence to say that the southeastern part of the state, which people have been saying, trending Democrat, it kind of appears to be based on the candidate. And Ron Johnson just absolutely killed it. And people are really thinking that, oh, the WOW County trends alone will, make this race close. Okay, even in the situation that Waukesha and Ozaukee, maybe, you can make the argument will trend significantly Democrat. In the situation that Waukesha trends Democrat, okay, how Democrat? I don't think he's going to win it by like almost 40 points. He'll still win it by like 30 points or so. But that's still not enough, alright? That maybe cuts down his vote margin by like what? Like 10,000, 20,000 votes? he would still win the state by over 80,000 votes. Ozaki, same deal. Okay, let's say Ozaki flips. Okay, that's 17,000 votes. Johnson would still win by, 60,000 votes. That's the problem Democrats are going to start having in the state of Wisconsin. They're fully banking on this idea that the Wow County will trend Democrat. Ozaki, yes. I think Ozaki will eventually flip because there's definitely a lot more, college grads there that are just, not going to say it, but some of those voters there, yeesh. But the place like Waukesha, there's a ceiling for Democrats in Waukesha, and it appears they're going to start hitting it. People fail to realize this county's like 60% white working class voters. That's ridiculous. Sure, there's a heavy white college education vote, but this vote is kind of outnumbered, when you really look at it, by working class white voters. And there's a ton of them in Waukesha. You look at the precinct data, they're nowhere near maxed out. So even in this theory that, Ron Johnson's gonna, do terrible in Waukesha. Alright, if he does terrible in the like the pure suburban part of Waukesha, right? Let's say it trends like 20 points Democrat. Let's just say the more rural parts of Waukesha won't trend 20 points Republican, like it did in 2016. That's what people need to understand. Wisconsin has so many rural votes that still vote Democrat. That is the reason it's still quote-unquote competitive. I mean, you can just look at this part of the state, northern Wisconsin. Look at Price County. 56% of the vote, 56 in Oneida. Forest County, only 58%. These are freaking rookie numbers up here. This is why the state's still close, in quotations. Because rural voters still vote Democrat by, they don't vote majority Democrat, but they vote Democrat just enough in these rural counties, which, by the way, there's a lot of votes up here. Sure, these are small counties. I mean, like, what? Lincoln County with, like, what? What is that? Like, 15 or 14,000 votes there. Okay, that may not seem like a lot. But when you start adding up the vote shares in this part of the state, there's a lot of votes. And Republicans are nowhere near maxed out at all. And these are voters that have been trending Republican for years now. Even before Trump. They trended like 20 points Republican in 2012. It's like these voters are continuously trending Republican. And I really do think by the end of the decade, we're probably going to see this a little bit this year, a lot of these counties are going to vote like Appalachia, Ohio. They're so similar. The demographics, nearly identical. Maybe there's difference in like religion or something like that. But outside of that, these voters, they're practically the same. They're basically the same on policy, and they have a very similar voting patterns. And I just think they're 4 years behind the voters in Ohio. So you start doing some math, it's like, okay, where can Democrats get votes from? Southwestern Wisconsin, the Driftless area? That area's trending Republican for years! Especially Trump. I mean, Ron Johnson lost all these counties, and he still won by like 3.5 points. If he would have got Trump numbers in this part of the state, he would have won closer by 5 or 6. So you start doing math, it's like, yeah, there's basically no path for Democrats to win the state of Wisconsin this cycle for the Senate race. And Madison only has so many votes. Can you get any more Democrat than 80%? I mean, 80% appears to be the ceiling in Dane. Yes, Russ Feingold got 72%. But 80%'s the ceiling. And Dane County, it's growing, but it's not growing as fast as you need it. Place like Milwaukee, there's parts of the county that's going to trend Republican. So you start doing the math, it's ludicrous to say that Mandela Barnes, who is far left for the state of Wisconsin, would somehow outperform Russ Feingold, who used to be a popular incumbent senator years ago. In a cycle that Feingold probably should have won, but he didn't. So this idea that Mandela Barnes would somehow outperform Feingold's ludicrous. And these polls here, I'm getting so freaking sick of Marquette University. Like, they try, alright? They try. That's the only thing I give them. But you look at the crosstabs, it's egregious, to say the least. Ron Johnson down by 2 against Barnes? That's absurd. Barnes is a far-left radical. That's just a fact. I mean, look what he said about white people. It's not pretty in a state that's 90% white. So this idea that, you know, Ron Johnson's going to lose. Ludicrous. Even in a blue wave, I still think you would have won by like a point or two. So anyways, folks, I hope you enjoyed this quickish video on the state of Wisconsin Senate race. If you did, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, and yes, of course, go follow the mysterious Twitter account in the description down below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. Godspeed to all of you.